Welcome to today's video, where we'll take a deep dive into the hidden aspects of male psychology using the lens of Stoic philosophy to uncover the vulnerabilities many men struggle with. Society often portrays men as strong, unshakable figures, tough on the outside, with little room for weaknesses. However, beneath this exterior lies a range of insecurities, fears, and emotional struggles that shape how they behave in relationships. Recognizing these vulnerabilities is crucial, as it allows women to better understand the men in their lives and approach interactions with more empathy and awareness. In this video, we're going to explore the top 9 weaknesses that many men face, from the fear of vulnerability to the struggle with emotional expression and self-worth. Understanding these challenges will empower you to build a deeper, more meaningful connection in your relationships. Let's get started and uncover these hidden truths together. Chapter 1. The fear of vulnerability. The silent battle. One of the most significant emotional challenges many men face is their fear of vulnerability. From a young age, societal expectations teach them that expressing emotions is a sign of weakness. The messages men receive, often subtly, tell them that being open about feelings such as sadness, fear, or even joy makes them less masculine, less in control, and ultimately less respected. Phrases like "man up," "boys don't cry," and "don't show weakness" are ingrained into their understanding of what it means to be a man. As a result, many men internalize the belief that vulnerability is something to be avoided at all costs. Over time, they build emotional walls around themselves as a way to protect their true feelings from judgment or rejection. This fear of vulnerability, although rooted in social conditioning, can have a profound impact on their relationships. In romantic relationships, this emotional armor often manifests as emotional distance or an inability to open up. Men may withdraw, become defensive, or refuse to express their deeper feelings, fearing that doing so will make them appear weak or less capable. The fear of being judged or not measuring up can lead to them bottling up emotions and withdrawing from their partners emotionally. This can leave women feeling confused, frustrated, and disconnected, as they may not understand why their partner is emotionally distant, despite their desire to build a closer, more intimate relationship. It's important to recognize that this behavior isn't necessarily a reflection of a lack of interest or affection. Rather, it is a defensive response to a deep-seated fear of vulnerability. This fear of being vulnerable can also stem from past experiences. Many men have been taught to hide their feelings from an early age, or they may have faced ridicule or criticism when they did express vulnerability. For example, they may have been teased or belittled for showing tears as a child, or reprimanded for expressing fear or uncertainty. These experiences can reinforce the belief that vulnerability is not only dangerous, but unacceptable. Over time, this belief solidifies, and they continue to suppress their emotions in an effort to avoid the perceived consequences of being vulnerable. However, vulnerability is not a weakness. Rather, it is a powerful tool for building deeper, more authentic relationships. When a person opens up about their emotions and allows themselves to be vulnerable, it creates a space for trust and connection. Vulnerability is often the key to intimacy, as it encourages honesty, understanding, and mutual respect. When a man allows himself to be vulnerable, he exposes parts of himself that are often hidden behind walls of protection. This emotional openness creates the opportunity for a stronger emotional bond between partners, as it allows both individuals to understand and support each other in a way that goes beyond surface-level interactions. For women, Understanding this fear of vulnerability is crucial in creating a supportive environment for their partners. Instead of viewing emotional distance as indifference or a lack of interest, it's important to see it as a response to fear and insecurity, creating a safe, non-judgmental space where a man feels that his vulnerability will be met with empathy and understanding can help him feel more comfortable opening up rather than pushing him to share before he's ready. Providing gentle reassurance, patience, and active listening, it can gradually help him dismantle the walls he has built around his emotions. As he begins to feel more secure and valued, he will be more likely to open up and share his true feelings, ultimately strengthening the connection between both partners. In conclusion, the fear of vulnerability is one of the most significant emotional barriers men face in relationships. It is shaped by societal messages that equate emotional expression with weakness. However, when women understand this fear and respond with patience, empathy, and support, they can help their partners feel safe enough to let down their emotional walls. Vulnerability, when nurtured, becomes a foundation for trust, intimacy, and deeper connection. Over time, this understanding can transform the relationship into one based on mutual emotional openness and support, creating a bond that is both stronger and more authentic. Chapter 2: The Need for Validation. Seeking external approval. Many men grapple with a deep-seated need for validation, which often becomes a key driver of their sense of self-worth. From a young age, society places heavy emphasis on external markers of success, whether it's excelling in a career, achieving physical perfection, or gaining the approval of others. These external factors are frequently seen as a measure of a man's value, and as a result, many men begin to define themselves by how they are perceived by others. They often seek praise, admiration, and acknowledgement, believing that their worth is tied to the recognition they receive from their achievements, appearance, or status in the eyes of others. This need for validation can create a constant cycle of insecurity. Despite outward confidence, many men feel uncertain and incomplete without constant external reinforcement. The more they achieve, the more they may crave recognition, believing that each success should be met with praise. Whether it's receiving a promotion at work, being admired for their looks, or gaining respect from their social circle, men often find their self-esteem directly linked to the approval they receive from others. However, when this validation is absent or not as forthcoming as they expect, feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt can arise, triggering a sense of emotional fragility. For some men, this need for validation manifests as overcompensation. They may push themselves harder in their careers, continually strive to enhance their physical appearance, or engage in competitive behaviors that boost their social status. In extreme cases, they may attempt to project an image of invulnerability or success, fearing that any hint of imperfection will diminish their value in the eyes of others. This overcompensation, while it may bring temporary satisfaction, does little to address the deeper insecurity that drives the need for validation in the first place. It becomes a never-ending pursuit of approval that can never truly satisfy their need for internal security. In relationships, this dependency on external validation can create strain. A man who constantly seeks affirmation may put undue pressure on his partner to provide reassurance and praise. This can create an imbalance in the relationship, where the woman is expected to continuously validate his worth, leading to frustration on both sides. The man may feel emotionally drained if he doesn't receive the recognition he craves, while the woman may feel overwhelmed by the constant need to fulfill his validation requirements. Over time, this dynamic can erode trust and intimacy as the relationship becomes centered around external approval rather than mutual emotional support. Recognizing this tendency in men offers a powerful opportunity for women to foster a healthier dynamic. By understanding the root of the need for external validation, women can offer genuine encouragement that encourages their partner to look inward for their sense of worth. This means reminding him that his value doesn't lie in what others think of him or his accomplishments, but in his own character, integrity, and the unique qualities that define him as a person. Helping him recognize that true self-worth comes from within and that it is not dependent on the approval of others can shift the focus from external validation to internal confidence. A woman can support this growth by modeling self-acceptance and reinforcing his internal strengths. Instead of focusing solely on external achievements, she can praise his efforts, kindness, and personal growth. She can encourage him to set goals that align with his own values rather than seeking validation from external sources. Over time, this encouragement can help a man build lasting self-confidence that is rooted in his own sense of identity and self-worth rather than the approval of others. In conclusion, the need for validation is a common struggle for many men, stemming from societal pressures that equate self-worth with external markers of success. This need can lead to insecurity, overcompensation, and dependency on external affirmation. However, by offering genuine encouragement and reminding him that his true value lies within, women can help their partners cultivate a deeper sense of self-worth. Over time, this shift from external validation to internal confidence leads to a more balanced, fulfilling relationship where both partners can thrive emotionally and support each other in their growth. Chapter 3. The Fear of Rejection, a Hidden Insecurity. While men are often perceived as strong, confident figures, many harbor a deep-seated fear of rejection, one that they may hide behind a facade of bravado or overconfidence. And this fear, though sometimes subtle, can affect their behavior in profound ways. Rejection, whether emotional or social, can be one of the most painful experiences for anyone, and men are no exception. However, due to societal expectations, men are often taught to suppress their vulnerabilities and present an image of emotional invulnerability. As a result, their fear of rejection becomes hidden behind a protective wall of arrogance, aggression, or overcompensation. While they may outwardly seem indifferent to potential rejection, deep down, they share the same anxieties and insecurities as anyone else. The fear of rejection is particularly acute in relationships. Men may be afraid of being rejected by their partners emotionally or romantically, which can lead them to hold back or distance themselves. For example, they might avoid expressing their true feelings, hesitant to open up out of fear that their vulnerability might be met with indifference or disinterest. They may become overly cautious in their actions, second-guessing themselves, or retreating from situations where they risk emotional exposure. This fear of rejection can manifest as emotional withdrawal or a tendency to push others away before they can be hurt. In some cases, this behavior can lead to feelings of loneliness or frustration as they unintentionally create distance between themselves and those they care about. In romantic relationships, this fear can lead to confusion or miscommunication. The partner may interpret the man's emotional distance as disinterest or a lack of affection, when in reality, it's a protective mechanism driven by his underlying fear of rejection. Men may struggle to express their true needs or desires, afraid that doing so will expose them to the possibility of being rejected or judged. As a result, they may avoid confrontation or important conversations, preferring to maintain a semblance of peace rather than risking vulnerability. This fear can also manifest in their efforts to gain validation as they seek external affirmations to protect themselves from the perceived risk of rejection. The pressure of this hidden insecurity can also affect men's self-esteem. If they feel that they are not meeting the expectations of those around them or are not receiving the affirmation they crave, they may internalize these feelings of rejection and begin to doubt their own worth. This can create a cycle of emotional isolation where the man withdraws further, believing that no one truly values or understands him. He may be reluctant to seek help or support, as he fears that doing so will expose his vulnerability and make him more susceptible to rejection. For women in relationships with men, recognizing this fear of rejection can offer a new level of understanding and empathy. By acknowledging that the man's emotional distance or overconfidence may stem from a fear of rejection rather than disinterest, you can approach the situation with greater patience and compassion, creating an environment where open communication is encouraged and where vulnerability is seen as a strength rather than a weakness. Can help reduce the fear of rejection. Reassuring your partner that you value him for who he truly is, regardless of his successes or failures, can provide a sense of emotional security and build trust. In relationships, it's important to create a safe space where rejection is not seen as a failure, but as an opportunity for growth. Rejection, when approached with understanding, can be a catalyst for improvement and self-discovery. By encouraging open dialogue, offering support, and validating his feelings, you can help him overcome his fear of rejection. This creates a dynamic where both partners can express their emotions freely and support each other without the fear of judgment. Ultimately, the fear of rejection is a universal experience that affects both men and women, but its manifestation can often differ based on societal conditioning. For men, the fear of rejection may be masked by overconfidence or a reluctance to show vulnerability, but it is still a powerful force that shapes their behavior and interactions. Recognizing this fear and responding with patience, empathy, and reassurance can help foster a deeper emotional connection in the relationship. By creating an environment where rejection is not feared but understood, both partners can grow and thrive together, strengthening their bond and deepening their trust. Chapter 4. The Desire for Control, a Mask for Insecurity. The desire for control is a powerful force that many men struggle with, often manifesting in both their professional and personal lives. This need to control their environment, situations, and relationships is typically driven by an underlying fear of chaos or failure. Many men, having internalized the societal pressure to be successful and in charge, may feel that if they lose control, they risk losing their standing, their respect, or their ability to maintain their identity. Whether it's obsessing over the smallest details at work, micromanaging relationships, or striving to control every aspect of their personal life, the need for control often acts as a defense mechanism, a way of managing the overwhelming fear of the unknown or the unpredictable. Ironically, this desire for control can be counterproductive and often leads to stress, frustration, and strained relationships. The more a man tries to control his environment, the more anxious he becomes about potential failure or loss of control. This constant effort to maintain dominance can drain his emotional energy and create tension in his relationships. For instance, in a romantic relationship, a man might become overly controlling, insisting on having things his way, or pushing his partners to meet his expectations, all in the name of creating a sense of stability or certainty. However, this behavior can come across as possessive, domineering, or dismissive of the other person's needs and desires, leading to feelings of resentment and emotional distance. At the root of this need for control is often a deep-seated insecurity. Men who fear failure or feel inadequate may adopt control as a means of compensating for their perceived vulnerabilities. They may believe that if they can manage everything and keep things in order, they can prevent undesirable outcomes and shield themselves from embarrassment, criticism, or judgment. In reality, though, this attempt to manage everything often only amplifies their stress and creates a vicious cycle where their insecurity grows with each effort to maintain control. In relationships, this desire for control can manifest in subtle ways, such as trying to influence the decisions or actions of their partner, making unsolicited suggestions, or refusing to let go of certain responsibilities. A partner may feel stifled, unappreciated, or unheard as their own autonomy is undermined. The more the man insists on having things his way, the more distant the relationship can become. Rather than fostering trust and mutual respect, the desire for control can create an atmosphere of tension and frustration where both parties feel trapped in a dynamic that is more about power and domination than love and cooperation. Understanding that the desire for control is often rooted in insecurity can help women respond to this behavior with patience and empathy. Recognizing that a man's need to control his environment is likely a reflection of his fear of vulnerability and his underlying insecurity can open up avenues for compassionate communication. Instead of reacting with frustration or resistance, a woman can gently encourage her partner to embrace uncertainty and allow room for growth and spontaneity. By reassuring him that not everything can be controlled and that uncertainty is a natural part of life, she can help him loosen the reins and feel more comfortable with the ebb and flow of life's unpredictability. Encouraging a man to trust in the process of life rather than trying to control every outcome can help him build resilience and emotional flexibility. Through patience and gentle guidance, a woman can help him understand that true strength comes from embracing vulnerability and learning to adapt to changing circumstances. By offering reassurance and support in moments of uncertainty, she can help him feel secure enough to let go of his need for control, leading to more balanced and harmonious relationships. In conclusion, the desire for control is often a mask for deeper insecurity, driven by a fear of failure or chaos. Many men attempt to control their environment to shield themselves from perceived vulnerabilities. While this behavior may offer a sense of security in the short term, it can create stress and strain in relationships. By understanding that this need for control stems from insecurity, women can approach the situation with empathy, encouraging their partner to embrace uncertainty and trust in the process. Over time, this approach can help foster emotional growth, greater trust, and more harmonious relationships where both partners feel supported and valued. Chapter 5: The Fear of Failure, Perfectionism's Hidden Curse. Failure is often viewed as one of the greatest threats to a man's identity and self-worth. For many men, the fear of failure is not just about falling short of their goals, but about the very real fear that they will be seen as inadequate or incapable in the eyes of others. This fear stems from the intense pressure placed on them by society to succeed, achieve, and perform, whether it's in their careers, relationships, or personal endeavors. Men are often taught that failure is unacceptable and that anything less than perfection is a reflection of weakness. This mindset can create an overwhelming fear of making mistakes, leading many men to push themselves beyond healthy limits or to avoid risks altogether. The result of this deep fear is perfectionism, an unhealthy obsession with flawless performance that can take a toll on a man's emotional well-being. For a man driven by perfectionism, even the smallest mistake can feel like a catastrophic failure, leading to feelings of shame, inadequacy, and frustration. This fear of failure can be paralyzing, making it difficult for him to take the necessary risks or embrace new challenges. He might become fixated on getting everything just right and may avoid stepping out of his comfort zone in order to protect his self-image. Unfortunately, this only limits his potential for growth and creates a cycle of self-doubt and missed opportunities. In relationships, this fear of failure can manifest in various ways. A man who fears failure might be overly critical of himself or his partner, always striving for an unattainable standard of perfection. He may struggle to open up emotionally, fearing that any vulnerability will expose his weaknesses. Alternatively, he might avoid taking risks in the relationship, like committing to deeper emotional intimacy or confronting difficult issues, because he's afraid of making a mistake that could lead to rejection or failure. His desire for control over outcomes can create distance and strain in the relationship, as he may become fixated on avoiding any perceived failure rather than focusing on growth and connection. It's important to recognize that this fear of failure and the perfectionism that stems from it is often rooted in deep insecurity. Men who struggle with this fear often feel as though their value is contingent on their success, and that failure will expose them as unworthy or incapable. This belief is reinforced by societal expectations, which often equate a man's worth with his achievements, power, and status. Unfortunately, this mindset makes it difficult for him to see failure as a natural part of growth. Instead, failure becomes something to fear and avoid at all costs. This ultimately limits his potential, not only in his career and personal life, but also in his relationships. As women, understanding the underlying causes of a man's fear of failure can help you respond with empathy and patience, rather than reacting to his perfectionism with frustration or criticism. You can gently encourage him to embrace mistakes as opportunities for growth and self-improvement, helping him recognize that failure does not define him and that it is often a necessary part of the learning process, can reduce the pressure he feels to be perfect all the time. By creating an environment where mistakes are accepted and viewed as a normal part of life, you can help him feel more secure and confident in his ability to navigate challenges without the fear of falling short. Encouraging a healthier mindset around failure means celebrating progress, not just success. When a man is focused solely on perfection, he often overlooks the small victories in the lessons learned along the way. By acknowledging and praising his efforts, regardless of the outcome, you can help shift his perspective on failure and success. Over time, this approach can help him build resilience, embrace imperfection, and feel more secure in taking risks, whether in his career, personal life, or relationships. In conclusion, the fear of failure, driven by perfectionism, can be a significant weakness for many men. This fear of making mistakes can create emotional stress, hinder personal growth, and strain relationships. By understanding that perfectionism often stems from insecurity and societal pressures, women can help create a more supportive environment that encourages risk-taking, self-compassion, and growth with patience and empathy. You can help him shift his mindset, embracing failure as a natural and valuable part of life, ultimately leading to greater confidence, deeper connections, and personal growth. Chapter 6: The struggle with emotional expression, the Stoic dilemma. Emotionally, many men face a significant challenge when it comes to expressing their feelings. A key contributor to this struggle is the influence of Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes emotional restraint and self-control. While Stoicism has valuable principles that encourage rational thinking and detachment in the face of adversity, it can also unintentionally lead to emotional suppression. For many men, the ideal of emotional restraint is ingrained from a young age, shaping how they perceive and manage their emotions. Society often encourages men to be strong and keep it together, which can result in them bottling up their emotions rather than expressing them freely. This struggle with emotional expression is not merely a matter of preference, it's a reflection of a deeply embedded cultural expectation. From childhood, many men are taught that showing vulnerability or intense emotions such as sadness, fear, or frustration is a sign of weakness. The idea that emotions should be controlled or hidden becomes so deeply rooted that as adults, men may have difficulty even acknowledging what they're feeling, let alone sharing those feelings with others. This can lead to a significant disconnect in relationships, where the partner may feel as though their significant other is emotionally distant, closed off, or unengaged. At its core, the issue is that emotional expression is often seen as incompatible with traditional ideas of masculinity. Many men have internalized the belief that expressing emotions openly is an indication of vulnerability, and vulnerability is synonymous with weakness. As a result, they may struggle with feelings of shame or guilt whenever they feel the urge to express themselves emotionally. This reluctance to communicate emotional states can manifest in a variety of ways, such as emotional withdrawal, avoidance, or even frustration and anger when they feel misunderstood. In relationships, this emotional suppression can create tension and distance between partners. A woman may sense that her partner is not fully engaged or emotionally available, even if he cares deeply for her. She may try to connect with him on a deeper emotional level, but find it difficult when he shuts down or refuses to open up. This behavior can cause her to feel disconnected, neglected, or even rejected, and may lead to feelings of frustration or confusion. On the other hand, the man may feel that his emotions are too overwhelming to share, or that expressing them might lead to judgment or criticism. The challenge here is not that men lack the capacity to feel deeply, it's that they are often hesitant or unable to share those feelings in a healthy, constructive way. Emotional suppression can manifest in a range of emotional issues, including stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical ailments, as the body absorbs the emotional tension that isn't expressed. Over time, these unexpressed emotions can lead to resentment, frustration, and a growing sense of emotional disconnect in the relationship. As women, understanding this struggle is essential for creating an environment where a man feels safe to open up rather than perceiving his emotional distance as indifference or lack of interest. Recognizing that he may be struggling with emotional expression allows you to approach the situation with empathy, offering a safe, non-judgmental space where he can express his feelings without fear of ridicule or rejection is crucial for fostering emotional intimacy. This means being patient and encouraging without pushing him too hard, by gently reassuring him that his emotions are valid and that expressing them is a healthy part of being human. You can help break down the barriers he's built around his emotional world. Creating opportunities for him to share his feelings might involve simple acts like encouraging him to talk about his day, asking how he's feeling, or being open about your own emotions. By setting an example of emotional transparency, you show him that it's safe to be vulnerable and open. This process can take time, and it may require you to be understanding and patient as he works through his emotional barriers. However, over time, these efforts can help him feel more comfortable with expressing himself and lead to a deeper emotional connection between the two of you. Ultimately, the Stoic ideal of emotional restraint can serve as a double-edged sword. While it can help men remain calm and composed in difficult situations, it can also prevent them from forming authentic, emotional connections. Recognizing the struggle with emotional expression in men allows women to offer the support and understanding they need to overcome this challenge. Through gentle encouragement, patience, and emotional safety, men can begin to open up, leading to greater intimacy, stronger bonds, and more fulfilling relationships. Chapter 7. The Fear of Losing Independence. The battle between love and freedom. Independence is one of the most valued aspects of many men's lives. From a young age, society often teaches them to be self-sufficient, strong, and capable of navigating the world without relying on anyone else. This sense of autonomy and freedom becomes a cornerstone of their identity, and they carry it into adulthood, placing a high premium on their ability to make decisions on their own terms. However, when they enter a relationship, this deep-rooted value of independence can trigger a fear that love and commitment will somehow compromise their freedom. For some men, the thought of being in a relationship brings up concerns about losing the ability to freely pursue their own interests, goals, and desires. This fear can manifest in various ways within a relationship. One common reaction is hesitancy to fully commit, as the man may be uncertain about how much of his life he will have to give up. He may resist sharing aspects of his life, such as his career ambitions, social activities, or personal space, fearing that doing so will come with obligations or expectations he's not ready to meet. This can create emotional distance, as he holds back from being fully vulnerable or transparent in the relationship. For women, this may feel like a lack of interest or investment, but in reality, it's a sign of internal conflict between wanting love and maintaining personal freedom. The fear of losing independence can also lead to reluctance in planning for the future or making long-term decisions, such as moving in together or discussing shared life goals. The idea of merging two lives can feel overwhelming for men who deeply value their personal freedom. They may worry about losing their individuality, becoming too reliant on their partner, or sacrificing their ability to freely pursue their own interests and passions. This fear of dependency can sometimes make them seem distant or uncommitted, when in reality, they are simply afraid of losing their sense of self. As a woman in a relationship with a man who struggles with this fear, understanding the root of this anxiety can help you respond with empathy and patience. It's important to recognize that this isn't a reflection of how he feels about you, but rather an expression of his internal struggle between wanting love and needing personal space. Instead of taking his reluctance personally, approach the situation with understanding and open communication. Let him know that you respect his need for independence and that you value both his individuality and your shared connection. Encouraging him to pursue his own interests, maintain friendships, and enjoy time alone can help alleviate some of his fears, allowing him to feel less pressured by the relationship. At the same time, it's essential to nurture the emotional intimacy between you, showing him that a loving relationship doesn't require sacrificing independence, but can actually support personal growth. When both partners feel they have the freedom to be themselves, they are more likely to feel secure in the relationship and more willing to invest emotionally. A balanced relationship where both individuals maintain their sense of individuality and independence while nurturing a deep emotional connection can transform the fear of losing freedom into a strength. When both partners feel understood, respected, and supported in their own personal journeys, the relationship becomes a space for growth, not a source of constraint. By fostering mutual respect for each other's autonomy, you can build a connection where love and freedom coexist, enriching both partners' lives and deepening their bond. In conclusion, the fear of losing independence is a common and understandable struggle for many men, but it's one that can be overcome with mutual understanding and support. By offering him the space and freedom he needs, while also nurturing emotional intimacy, you can create a relationship where both partners thrive independently and together. Balancing love with respect for each other's individuality fosters a healthy, dynamic relationship that is built on trust, respect, and mutual growth. Chapter 8: The Struggle with Self-Worth. Battling the Inner Critic. Self-worth is a continuous and often invisible battle for many men. On the surface, they may project an air of confidence, exuding strength and assurance in their actions and interactions. However, beneath this exterior, many are silently grappling with an internal critic that relentlessly tells them they are not enough. This inner voice, often harsh and unrelenting, feeds their insecurities and amplifies their self-doubt, leading them to question not only their decisions and actions, but their very worth. It's a hidden struggle that many men face, and it's one that can undermine their confidence, making them second-guess every choice they make, whether personal or professional. This internal battle often manifests in various ways. Men may feel pressure to constantly prove themselves or to meet external standards of success, which only intensifies the voice of self-criticism. Even minor setbacks or mistakes can trigger overwhelming feelings of inadequacy, pushing them further into self-doubt. They may feel like they are always falling short, never quite measuring up to the expectations they place on themselves or perceive from others. Over time, this can lead to feelings of insecurity that, if left unchecked, can erode their self-esteem and prevent them from embracing their true potential. As a woman who cares for or is in a relationship with a man who struggles with these internal battles, being aware of his struggle with self-worth is key. Your support and affirmation can be incredibly powerful in helping him overcome the grip of the inner critic. However, it's essential to offer this support in a way that helps him build intrinsic confidence, not one that feeds a reliance on external validation. While affirmations can be a source of strength, the ultimate goal should be to help him recognize and embrace his own worth from within, rather than seeking constant validation from the outside world. Encouraging him to embrace his strengths is a critical aspect of this support. Men often downplay their accomplishments, dismissing their achievements as insignificant or not enough. By highlighting his successes, both big and small, and helping him recognize the value he brings to the table, you can help him shift the narrative in his mind. Encourage him to reflect on the qualities that make him unique, his kindness, his integrity, his resilience, and help him see these as integral to his identity and value, rather than focusing solely on external markers of success. Additionally, it's important to remind him of his past growth and resilience. Men often forget how far they've come, focusing instead on where they think they fall short. By pointing out moments in his life where he has overcome obstacles, faced challenges, and achieved personal growth, you help him reconnect with his inner strength and the progress he's made. This not only combats the inner critic, but also fosters a healthier, more compassionate relationship with himself. At the same time, it's crucial to foster an environment of emotional safety, where he feels comfortable expressing his insecurities without fear of judgment. This open dialogue can help him confront the inner critic head on, challenging the negative self-talk that limits his potential. Supporting him in this way isn't about providing constant validation, but about helping him learn to validate himself and appreciate his own inherent worth. By acknowledging his struggles and encouraging his growth, you play a vital role in helping him battle the inner critic and embrace a healthier, more confident self-image. Chapter 9. The Fear of Being Controlled. The Stoic Need for Freedom. For many men, particularly those who deeply value their independence and autonomy, the fear of being controlled within a relationship can be a powerful and unsettling emotion. This fear often stems from a deep-rooted desire to maintain personal freedom and avoid feeling constrained by the expectations or demands of a partner. Men who prioritize their independence may experience this fear as an internal conflict when they sense that their space, choices, or decisions are being influenced or restricted. This perception of control can trigger feelings of vulnerability and helplessness, which they may actively resist or try to avoid at all costs. The result is often a defensive reaction, be it avoidance, rebellion, or subtle resistance that can strain the relationship. The fear of being controlled is not simply a matter of being unwilling to compromise. It's an ingrained response to the notion of losing the ability to make decisions freely, to act without the oversight of others. Men who have internalized a Stoic ideal of self-reliance often experience this fear more acutely, as they are conditioned to see autonomy as an essential aspect of their identity. They may fear that any perceived control will lead to a loss of self, erode their sense of individuality, or diminish their ability to make choices that align with their desires and goals. This fear can manifest in many ways, from subtle, passive-aggressive behaviors to overt avoidance of deeper emotional involvement, as they subconsciously distance themselves from anything they perceive as a threat to their independence. Understanding this fear and its underlying causes is crucial for fostering a healthy, balanced relationship. As a woman in a relationship with a man who values his freedom, it is important to approach the dynamic with a sense of mutual respect for each other's autonomy, recognizing that the desire for personal space and independence is not a reflection of disinterest or lack of commitment, but rather a fundamental need for self-expression, can help ease tensions. Instead of viewing his desire for freedom as a rejection or an indication of trouble, you can approach it with empathy and understanding, allowing both partners to feel supported in maintaining their individual identities within the relationship. A healthy relationship, built on equality, trust, and understanding, recognizes that both partners need the space to grow and develop as individuals. It is essential to create an environment where both partners feel comfortable pursuing their passions, making decisions independently, and respecting each other's personal boundaries. This sense of freedom within the relationship doesn't mean that there is a lack of commitment or love. Rather, it reflects the understanding that both individuals are whole people who choose to share their lives together, not because they need each other to define who they are, but because they choose to bring their strengths and qualities into the relationship. By fostering an atmosphere of mutual respect, where both partners' needs for autonomy are acknowledged, the fear of being controlled can be addressed constructively. Open communication about boundaries and desires becomes key. Encouraging honest conversations about personal space, freedom, and the balance between togetherness and independence can prevent misunderstandings and build trust. When both partners feel secure in their ability to maintain their individuality, while also nurturing the relationship It leads to a more fulfilling partnership based on equality and shared respect. Ultimately, the fear of being controlled is alleviated not by restricting freedom, but by allowing it to coexist with love, trust, and shared responsibility. Through the lens of dark Stoic psychology, we've gained a deeper understanding of the top 9 male weaknesses that influence their behavior in relationships. Just like women, men have their own vulnerabilities that shape their actions and responses, often hidden beneath the surface. Recognizing these weaknesses allows us to approach relationships with greater empathy, patience, and insight. Instead of viewing these vulnerabilities as flaws, we can see them as opportunities for growth and deeper connection. Relationships are not about striving for perfection, but fostering mutual understanding and respect. By acknowledging and supporting each other's struggles, we can build stronger, healthier relationships. Thank you for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.